In today's episode, we are going to be answering questions the JITT group is most commonly asked while giving practical encouragement around healing, leadership, burnout, purpose, coaching, and personal growth. Welcome back to JITT Talks. We are so glad you're here. Over the last few episodes, we've shared our story, talked about leadership, entrepreneurship, healing, and resilience.
One of the things we love most is connecting with people through conversations like these. Whether it's after a speaking engagement, through coaching, social media, or our website, there are certain questions that seem to come up over and over again.
So today's the day. We're answering some of the most common questions we've received from clients, leaders, entrepreneurs, and people in our community.
All right, so let's get started. So, Marjay, one of the questions we hear all the time is, how do I know if coaching is actually what I need?
That's a great question. I think the first thing, and I know coaches are not going to want me to say this, but I think one of the first things is that I would say that not everyone needs a coach, and that is okay. Coaching mainly benefits someone who's ready to grow, make changes, and move forward in their life. It's not about having everything figured out either when you decide you want to see a coach, because oftentimes, and I mean reality, when do we ever have everything figured out, right? But it's really about being willing to do the work. I think those who will benefit from a coach are people that feel stuck. Maybe they're lacking direction or going through some type of life transition, even navigating grief, things like that. So I think those are the people that really are should be out seeking a coach. And sometimes it's not about knowing where you are, it's about where you want to go. So that we can help you create a plan around that and really help you stick to your goals, hold you accountable. Coaching is not about advice, right? We are here to partner with you, to walk alongside you in your journey.
Okay. So you said something about coaching and grief.
Yeah.
What is your difference between grief counseling and grief coaching?
I think grief counseling will help you, because I truly believe in therapy, but I think grief counseling will help you to heal from the things that are from your past. So maybe the conversation you never had with your dad, the guilt, going through things like resentment, things like that. Okay. Grief coach is when you are ready and you have processed the hurt and you're ready to move forward and want to know, not to get over that person, because that's not what grief coach is about. It's about, I want to know how to live each and every day without feeling like I'm surviving, without feeling like I'm drained, or that I can't push forward without thinking of my wife that I just lost. No, we're at the point where we want to know, how can I live my life now, this new perspective of life? How do I do this when I've lost a significant other or a child or a family member that's close to you? Now, with that piece of your life being gone, how can I live with that missing puzzle piece?
Absolutely. So what's one misconception people have about coaching?
One of the biggest misconceptions I think people have about coaching is feeling that they are broken.
Yeah, because some people have stigma about going to a coach and thinking that it's a brand now because they felt they had to have coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. One, I think people think that coaching is more of a side hustle that people do rather than a true profession.
Yeah.
And it really is a true profession. Absolutely. And coaching personally has helped me be able to overcome feeling stuck
Yeah.
in getting to my next step. I've been held accountable, because being a coach, it's like being a therapist. A therapist needs a therapist. A
Absolutely.
coach needs a therapist and a coach.
Yep.
And we need, so for me, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is in the field of coaching. I think a lot of people don't trust coaching yet, and I think a lot of people are a little concerned. Is this a real profession? Do
Yeah.
they have to take actual training? And I will be the first to say, yes, we do.
Absolutely.
We
And
do.
even I didn't want to wear the title coach because I felt that it was so saturated,
Yes.
and I felt that, people wouldn't take you serious because you do have, a lot of coaches that have, studied but have no live experience. They don't, and it feels more like a scam than it does
Yes.
something that you really need. But
Yeah.
even me myself, I have a coach. I have a therapist, and I always will.
Yeah.
And trust me, those are some of the things that you need sometimes to just help you get through life.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that I think is important for people to know is that you can have a counselor and a coach, that they go
Absolutely.
hand in hand. Another question we hear often is, am I burned out, or am I just tired?
And you know what? I think that's one of the most important questions because I think a lot of people don't realize they're burnt out until either their mind or body force them to pay attention. And
Mm-hmm.
and I can speak that from live experience. I mean, it made me write a whole book. So
Right.
I know burnout is real. So and the difference is burnout isn't just feeling tired from a busy week or a busy day. It's a deeper exhaustion. I mean, it's when rest doesn't seem to help you anymore, and it's one of those things where you go to bed tired, you wake up tired, and you lose motivation from things that you normally enjoy. And
Yeah.
sometimes we misconstrue it with being depressed. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not depression. I mean, even, simple decisions can become overwhelming. You feel like everything is just piling up, and one of the biggest signs when you start surviving instead of living. And
Yeah.
I wrote about that in the book too. And you stop being present because your patience is shorter. Your creativity fade away, and your joy slowly start disappearing. And I mean, I even noticed that in my career, and you can still be doing the thing that you love, but when you are carrying things that's not yours to carry, it will burn you out.
Yeah.
It will burn you completely out, and sometimes your body starts speaking to you before you do. You
Mm-hmm.
start getting headaches and poor sleep and anxiety, and your shoulders start growing up, around your ear from
Yeah, you're
muscle
tensed all
tension.
the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you start finding yourself getting sick more, and people don't pay attention to who they're becoming. You become more irritable, and you think,
Mm.
that's just my personality, and more cynical, and you feel like you're pouring everything into everybody else, and you have nothing left for yourself. And those are your warning signs that's worth, paying attention to.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases that I share is burnout isn't simply the result of doing too much. It's often the result of recovering too little.
Yeah.
And recovery is not selfish. It's necessary. Rest is necessary. And even in my book, I wrote in on page 108 under the title Prayer, Intercession, and the Forgotten Self. I wrote even Jesus himself did not live that way. Again and again, scripture tells us he withdrew. Not because the needs weren't real, not because the crowds weren't suffering, but because communion with the Father was not optional. It was essential. He left healing undone for the sake of prayer. He stepped away from demand to remain rooted in love. Luke 5:16. That is what I miss. I prayed constantly, but I rarely withdrew. I interceded faithfully, but I rarely rested. I spoke with God often, but I did not always sit with him long enough to be cared for. Prayer had become the place where I carried others to God, not the place where I allowed God to carry me.
Yeah.
And so burnout is real. I mean, it's really real. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens when it happens one neglected boundary, one skipped day of rest, one season of caring too much at a time. But the good news is that if you can recognize it early, you can begin to recover before it becomes something much more serious. You can reach out to your coach.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Samaje, this may be one of the biggest questions we've received. How do
Uh,
I know what my purpose is?
that is a big question. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that purpose is something you suddenly discover one day, like that you're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up with this aha moment and know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And I just don't, that wasn't my experience. In reality, purpose for me
Mm-hmm.
wasn't is being revealed like one step at a time. There's a quote that Martin Luther King says, and he says, "You don't have to see the full staircase. You just have to take the first step."
Absolutely.
And I think that has been one of my biggest motivations throughout my journey of life, entrepreneurship, all of that, is that purpose wasn't always about my career, but it was more so about how I use my gifts and my experiences and my values to serve others. And I think that's one of the biggest ways that you can start figuring out your purpose. That sometimes, we spend so much time looking for that aha moment that we do
Mm-hmm.
overlook what God has placed right in front of us. You
Absolutely.
have gifts and talents that are right there within you that you could start using today to live out your purpose.
Yeah. So, how has your understanding of purpose changed over the years?
I learned that purpose grows as we grow. It's a
Yeah.
day-to-day thing that as we heal, as we learn, as we lean into our faith and then step out on our faith, that we can gain clarity.
Yeah.
That I think I learned that I don't have to know the whole vision. I don't have to see the full next 10 years to start. That I just need to be faithful in the first step and that God will carry me the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Another question that we got was that people often ask us how we stay encouraged during difficult seasons, and saying that you wrote the book Surrendered in Silence
Wrote a book on it.
and all the different
Every
seasons,
season.
difficult seasons that you went through. I think
Absolutely.
this would be a great question for you to answer.
Okay. I mean, and honestly, I'm human. That's a question that I still ask myself because difficult seasons are a part of all of our lives, and surrendering is a daily task
Yeah.
for me. I can say what has helped me more than anything is knowing my North Star. For me again, my North Star is God. I mean, I know y'all tired of hearing that, but He's the constant that doesn't change when everything else around me does. There's been seasons when I didn't have all the answers, when doors closed, people left, finances were uncertain, and grief happened, and it felt overwhelming. But what kept me moving wasn't having certainty about the future. It was knowing the one who was leading me through it all.
Yeah.
And I believe everyone need a North Star. It doesn't have to be a title, a career, or someone else's expectations. It should be the thing that anchors you when life gets hard and reminds you who you are and what matters most. When I start feeling discouraged, Samaje, I go back to my anchor. I spend time in prayer and
Mm-hmm.
scripture and worship, and I journal. I mean, writing is my thing, so I'm always writing. And I remind myself of ways, God has been faithful before,
Mm-hmm.
because that's that thing that remind me that if he carried me through those seasons, he's going to carry me through this one too.
Yeah.
So for me, encouragement isn't pretending life isn't difficult, because it is. It's choosing to keep my eyes on my North Star instead of my circumstances. And the storm may not change overnight, but when the direction stays steady, you can keep taking the next faithful steps.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know we talk about resilience a lot, but I think it's important to know Like, has resilience changed your definition of success in any way?
Absolutely. Resilience has allowed me to understand the things in life that are not mine to carry and to learn to surrender them.
That's awesome.
So, if you could sit down with every listener individually and tell them one thing, what would it be, Samaje?
I think if I could sit down with every person listening today, I would want you to know that you aren't behind, that you are not broken, that your story is not over, that you are exactly where God has designed for you to be. And hopefully that encourages you to know that whatever you're facing right now doesn't have to define the rest of your life. Exactly. It's just a chapter in your life. We're all on this journey, and every chapter looks different. Some are super exciting and wonderful, and some we would rather just close the book on, right?
Yeah.
But healing takes time. Growth takes intention, and purpose often unfolds one step at a time. So give yourself permission, give yourself grace to just keep going. And even if your next step doesn't feel as big as you might want it to, just taking small, consistent steps matter. And that could be the very thing that leads you to an extraordinary transformation. If there was one piece, Mom, that you feel you could give the people, one piece of wisdom you hope to give the people, like what would you give them?
Let's see. If I could give people one piece of wisdom, it would be this. Don't lose yourself trying to become who the world expects you to be. We spend so much of our lives chasing titles, achievements, approval, and success, thinking they'll finally tell us who we are. But title changes, career changes, season change, even the people around us change.
Yeah.
And that your identity has to be anchored to something different. And don't let your past disqualify you. Just because people label you in the past as something or someone, you are in your present now, and your future is tomorrow. So become that person that you know you're supposed to be in your heart.
Yeah.
And that growth requires courage. Leadership starts within. And I know you asked for one, but unfortunately, there's plenty.
No, that's fine. I love that because I think people need to know it's okay to change. You don't have to stay how you are.
Absolutely.
You don't have to stay to, who you are because people said that this is all you're going to be. You have permission to change.
And you don't have to carry everything alone. I mean, there are people out there that's waiting and willing to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost out of time. So before we close, let's leave our listener with one thoughtful step they can take this week, Smaje.
I think this week you should ask yourself one question. What is one area of my life where I've been waiting instead of taking action? And if you can identify that one area, you don't have to take a huge leap. Just take one small step.
And don't underestimate the power of consistency. Big transformations are often the result of small decisions repeated over time. Like Samaje said, you may not be able to. Dr. Martin Luther King said.
Yes, Dr. Martin Luther King said.
Tell them, Samaje.
Just because you can't see the whole staircase, or you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step.
I know I threw you off.
You did. You told me.
I did. I was like, okay, I'm not.
But yeah, I mean, if today's conversation has encouraged you, again, we would love for you to subscribe, share this episode, and connect with us through the JITT group. And one exciting piece of news today we have is that the private access group is coming out soon. It should be released the first week in July.
The first week in July.
It'll be open, and the private access group, if you purchase the book, the Surrender in Silence bundle package, then you will have free access. If not, it's okay. You can still purchase that access for $5 through our website. Yep. If you have purchased the bundle and you have not received your promo code, please send us an email at admin@thejitgroup. That's admin, ADMIN, at thejitgroup.com. And we will get that over to you as soon as possible. We're so excited about this private access group.
Oh, yeah, we're having real discussions in there. You would find weekly questions. We have a community that we're building, and we would love to have you there.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be great. So, and if you have a question in between, you'll like us to discuss in our future episode, we'll love to hear from you. Some of our best conversations begin with your questions.
Yes. So until next time, this is JITT Talks. Real conversation, real transformation.